Hello there. I hope you're having a great evening. I'm really sorry about my bad internet connection, which got disrupted in the previous live. We'll just wait for a 5 more minutes and I'll start over again. Okay. So, to everybody present, a very good evening. I hope you're having a great day and y'all are keeping safe wherever you are. Some of y'all might know me, some of y'all might be seeing me for the first time. To introduce myself, my name is Darsha, and you might be thinking, why such a topic? The Mental Illness Awareness Week is celebrated from October 4th to October 10th. That is from today to the coming Saturday. I am also a psychology graduate. I'm also a part of the British Psychological Society, which gives me much more or less the credibility to talk about the topic. Um, okay, so I can see a few people are in here. To talk about today, today is the first day, right? So I thought we'll start with a topic that gives most importance on mental illnesses. So, first of all, I would like to tell you all that if at any point, any things that I talk here trigger you or it reminds you of anything which is not nice or which is not good, I hope you all take the initiative to either contact me by email or consult a professional psychologist at wherever you are. Okay, so this is really important because I do not want to trigger or remind you all of any bad moments or past experiences or anything at any point that I say might be a little trigger or remind you of anything. Please do the needful. I will also share my email ID at the end, and you all can freely email me for it. Uh, well, so let's start today's session. Any questions over the session? I'll go through the live chat. You can all post it, and either today at the end or at any point other on the other days that are coming up, I'll definitely answer them. Okay, so today I thought, like the title suggests, am I mental or am I not? So, most of the people commonly ask such a question when they are going through difficult times, either to themselves or there are different people asking them, are you okay? Are you mental? Are you mentally ill? Or are you facing any mental issues? So, a lot of people ask this, right? Over a period of time or in a bad phase or based on how people react or on certain behaviors, people commonly ask such questions, sometimes to themselves, sometimes to others, right? So I thought first, before we get into the mental illnesses and mental health problems, we first should start talking about why do we ask such questions. So, as coronavirus has taken over our lives, which we can frankly accept at this point, we all know that we all have been emotionally or physically or psychologically or socially, we all have had to compromise a part of life. We are not living our lives like the way we used to. We don't walk around without mask anymore in life. We all are uh, in that position where we need to follow certain things, take care of our own health, and be careful. We are all constrained and confined to our homes, and all of these changes have occurred over the past few months. And we all know we cannot travel, we cannot like we cannot walk around freely, and we are all constrained. So a mental health uh, compromise has also occurred to us, like our physical healths have over this time. So, to talk about first, even before Corona's arising, or even before we had Corona in our lives, we all know that the moment someone says, I think I'm having a mental issue, or the moment somebody tells me that, you know what, I might be going through some kind of a mental problem. Most commonly, I've seen people react to this like, oh, so you have a mental issue. We can accept when we have physical issues in our life. We so commonly accept the fact that I'm going through a certain pain, or I'm having a bad bone, or I might have broken a bone. All of these things we so willingly and readily accept this for a fact. We don't shy away to say, you know what, I'm going through this. We don't shy away. We don't restrict ourselves while talking to someone that this is what I'm facing. While when it comes to mental issues, more or less, we are so adamant to accept that we are going through something in the first place. Then the next thing comes, we are worried. What is the other person going to think? So when someone tells me that I'm having a physical issue, we don't judge the person. We do not come into statements to tell the person that, you know what, I'm going to criticize you, I'm going to label you. We accept, and we somewhere we care for them, we check up on them, how well are you doing. We make sure that if they need any physical assistance, we give them. All of these factors come in when someone goes through a physical issue. But when it comes to mental illnesses, the fact I've seen over times, over people, um, the courage to accept that I am going through something is a thing altogether. So even if somebody comes to that, to say that, yes, I'm going through this, what is the level of importance and care that you give to those kind of people? That is the first thing that we need to correct ourselves with. How are we checking on them? Do we talk to them? What assistance do they need? Do we cover all these things? Are we caring about them like the way we used to for, or if they had a physical illness? That's the first thing that we all need to be aware of, and I think that is all of our responsibility, irrespective of where you come from, who you are, to check upon social beings as humans. I think that is all our responsibility. um, we all fall down at certain points of our life. To say that you've never fallen down in your life is a lie, is a plain lie. It's because you've not come to terms with the fact that, yes, you had to go through something. That's the first incidence that I need to say to people who say, no, my life has been uh, a full of up, and I've not gone through anything. That's a plain lie. It is either because you have not come to accept that, I'm going through something, or it is because you do not want to admit. Only those two factors exist, or you don't want to talk about it, which is as simple. Now, when someone says that, I'm having a mental issue, the first thing the society around us term us as is, you know what, that person is abnormal. That's what we say in English. In Hindi, we say pagal. In Malayalam, we say prand. So there are different terms in different languages to describe mental illnesses. And I find it very funny how people abuse and, demean the value of such words. Because I feel that when you do that, what you're doing is you are disrespecting the person who is going through it. You're disrespecting the value that person should be having in life. you are also negating the fact that this person has every other right to live like you are if you are healthy mentally. That's the first thing I have to tell people when they term things like this. This is also the reason why there is so much of stigma to, first of all, to accept that you have a problem. Second of all, to take treatment and, to consult and take professional advice over the matter. So these are the things that you restrict yourself over when labels like this are followed in a society. Why do we have such labels in the society is because there is plain lack of awareness. There is lack of awareness of the kind of mental issues people go through. So physically we know that we have so much of issues. We know what cancer is, we know what, if we have so and so symptoms, we know this is that, we know, we have so much of awareness on, even for corona, we have so much of awareness. Okay, these are the symptoms, so this is how corona might look like. But what are our awareness as humans over our mental illnesses? That's the first thing that we all need to be aware of. Every other day, we see posts about physical. You have to have immunity boosters. You have to have these kind of food. You have to follow a healthy lifestyle. So on. Exercises, this, that. How much are we laying our importance on mental health? How many posts do we come across, or how many WhatsApp forwards do we see over mental illnesses? So I saw a rise of posters running over when there was an actor's death, or when depression came into as a talk. And I found it very surprising of how everybody was sharing about it without the lack of awareness. So we should not be having a death, or we should not have an instance to realize the importance of such mental disorders at the first place. We should all be equally aware of our physical and mental health, because at the end of the day, even if you can't walk, if you have control over your mind, and if your mind is so strong, and if your mind is working, I think your physical health will recover. And I believe that. I've seen people with Alzheimer's and I've read about it. You see, Alzheimer's is a disorder that the person has no control and is not able to recover their memory. They have, they cannot, even if they want to, they cannot go back, or think about things in their memory, which is quite sad, right? To live and you don't know who the person next to you, you don't know where you are, you don't know who you are. And they might be physically healthy sometimes, they are, it's just that mentally and in their brain they have a damage. And it is so sad to live with those kind of patients, unfortunately. And there's nothing that we cannot, that we can do. So seeing such instances, what I've realized in life is your mind matters than your physical health. And to lay such stigma so bluntly without awareness, I think it's the mistake of us humans. To label things is such a sad sight. So I'll share an experience of mine. I came into this field around 6 years ago. So I chose psychology when in life, in my times, I've not heard so much of psychology, but I'm so glad to see the changing awareness and the social media impact on psychological awareness, and to see so many initiatives around that promote psychological awareness. So when I chose psychology in life, I barely knew anything about it. I don't remember so much about reading or seeing people in psychology. I don't remember so much about that. I came in and And slowly I started learning the subject. I started learning the basics, and moving on the theories and so on. But what I found funny was every time I went into a social gathering, or when I went into places, and people asked me, "What do you do?" So I said, "I'm studying psychology." They give me reactions, okay? So those reactions are very funny. So sometimes it will be like, "Oh, so you can read my mind?" I have commonly got, starting from the 6 years, I've even got it now. I still get it, and I think I'm going to get it. And yeah, so you can read my mind. Statements like, you can read my mind, or you should stand away from her because you know what, she can read my mind. And then I get statements like, uh, oh, so you can see, you can look at a person, you can understand what they think, and all of these statements. Otherwise, I get weird facial expressions, and I've found very awkward in such states. So these might be coming from family members or people who you don't even know, okay? So in the initial days when I started my days into psychology, I felt very awkward that I sometimes even thought, you know what, I should not be saying that I'm studying this. So all these thoughts ran my mind. But then in our class, when we as a group started talking about this, it was so astonishing, and it was so surprising to see that all of us have got the same kind of reactions in some or the other ways. So that moment we all realized, you know what, this is not just for us, it's the same across the field, across different people, across different homes. And we all came to terms with the fact that, you know what, people are going to give you this kind of a reaction. It is not about you, it is about the lack of awareness about the field. It is the lack of awareness of how much mental health issues and how much mental health awareness do they have. So, as psychologists and professionals in mental health, consider it as a responsibility throughout our life to give out sessions, psychoeducate people around us about what really mental health is about, what really mental illness is about, and what should we be doing, right? So that I think is the responsibility of people in this field. So since then, I've started educating people. I'm not surprised with these kind of emotions across the room, but I am more aware that this is going to happen, and this is bound to happen. So that's what happens. Even when you say that you are a professional, you're professionally into the career of mental health. Now, imagine if this is my state. I am somebody who should be treating people of mental health issues. What would be the state when people say that I'm going through a mental issue, if a mental health issue, if I'm facing as a professional person, what will the patient's this thing be? So I find it very commonly that people do not want to accept at the first place that I'm going through this. And the most obvious reason, like I've previously said, is because they fear what other people are going to think. So in society, we commonly see the relevance of what will the society say about me? Why? What is the society going to think about me if I say I'm going through such an issue? There is so much of what is the society going to think? What is this level of importance and power I will have in the society if I do accept or talk about such an issue? This is commonly seen, and which is also the main restricting factor for people to come and say, you know, I'm having an issue. Which is also why people don't take professional help. So they'll resort to all kind of things like, they'll, you know what, time will heal me. Time will heal me. This is one thing I've heard across situations that people go through. Does time really heal? That is my single most question I have to ask people. Does time really heal? Yes, time helps you to adapt with the situation, time helps you to accept the situation. But does time help you to solve your mental health issue is a question we should be asking ourselves. If we have been telling ourselves that, you know what, time is going to heal me. Time heals is a well-known factor to lay over and to stop yourself from seeking professional help. The underlying statement is you do not want to be in that professional help because you do not want to share or accept the fact that you are going through a psychological problem. So, um, how many times we have seen that, people get so concerned about someone once they are no more. So, somebody does something in their life and they'll be like, you know what, I was always here for the person, but they never spoke to me. I didn't know that they were going through such a problem. So, if something happened to that person, I don't know about this, irrespective of the fact that I'm here. So, more commonly, we have seen so much of care for people who are no more in our lives, or either physically or they're not there. That is when we realize, like, oh, they were going through so much, but I couldn't do anything. And I will easily say that I was not aware because the person didn't tell me. The simple most lying factor for people is that you have to create a social environment where people in your life can come and talk to you. So obviously, if you are a person who will label, who when your thoughts are like, oh, the person is mental, the person is abnormal, the person is pagal, the person is mentally ill, you name the person with such quotes, how do you think the person is going to come and tell you if they're having an issue? That's the first question that we should be asking ourselves. So, how many times have we seen that they could have done this, but they chose an option that was easiest for them? And they'll say there are statements like failures choose running away. But are failures really choosing running away? To talk about the topic, it's a lot. So I'm going to cut short that over here. But again, to the topic of stigma, we see and we hear, you know what, now since we've had few actors loss, um, okay, so I have a question. What if we don't want socialize and stay alone for life? Okay, to answer that, the hardcore truth of being a human is that we connect with people, and that's what makes us different from other living beings. Okay, so yes, there are people who are introverts who prefer to not socialize, prefer to stay alone, and they might choose to not connect with the people. But at some point or time in life, when you live as a human being, you cannot stop the social association. Otherwise, you'll have to go live under a rock. So, the fact of truth is you have to socialize with people. uh, how much ever you choose not to do it, how long can you do that for? So if you're doing a job, I'm guessing you'll have to connect with people. That's not possible to avoid, right? How much can you stay away from socializing people? So that is a question that we need to ask ourselves. We can live alone. We can be an introvert and live a very happy life. So, being an introvert is about choosing a space, saying that you only want to be by yourself. So, your energy connects to being in solitude. I will not say loneliness. Loneliness is a different concept. So, most people say that introversion is about being loneliness. So, that is a different thing. um, So yes, you can be limiting your socialization, but how much you do is the question. And how, again, I think we all have control of our lives than anybody else. We all have the power to choose everything. So we can choose to not be connected, we can choose to stay alone, we can choose everything we want in our life. From the time, and like many people use such statements, you know what, I'm forced into this, I have to do this for this. But that those this concept is known as internalizing and externalizing for in psychology. So when you internalize, you have a lot of power. I will cover a separate session on internalizing and externalizing on a different day. But again, if you internalize, it's about how, when you realize that you have the power to control your own life. That is also when you will realize that yes, I can choose and choose not to socialize, but how much I want to do and how much I don't want to do, all of that lies on me. Okay, so I hope that answers the question. Back to stigma. So, yeah, quite often we'll see so much of labeling around people who choose to seek treatment. Now, another thing that we've commonly noticed is what are the underlying stereotypes that are genderized to mental health. So we see the underlying stereotypes means like what is the norm of a society. So the norm is unsaid rules that we it's not a rule book we follow by the government or anything. It is a social rule book that you form. This is right in your society, this is wrong in your society. And now, most of the people live by the books because they don't want to fall under the wrong. And why they don't want to fall under the wrong is because they don't want to stand away from what everyone else is doing. So they want to stick to the rights always. Um, so what happens is people tend to, stand by the right. So, in most of the societies that function, I will not say every society functions like this. I can only speak from the background I come from. So, to speak in Kerala, if you say I'm a Keralite, and to speak in Kerala, if you say that, you know what, I'm going to seek mental health counseling, I as a woman or I as a female, I might be more accepting. Like I, even though it's a deviation from the society, deviation from the normal, to seek therapy at the first place. If I was a guy or if I was a man, I will be even more stereotyped. I will be even more labeled because we do not believe that men need help. We don't believe that mental health matters. We believe that men are strong. Men should be physically strong. Men should be mentally strong. Men shouldn't cry. So these are some of the underlying norms that have been built over people, built by media, things that we hear, everything. I think a lot of things and factors contribute to such stereotypes. So yeah, so in the first place, men are not supposed to seek treatment, and all of these men are, even if they go through something, they are understood to be strong. They are expected to be strong. They have to have the capability to be strong. And I find it very funny, like the gender that you belong to never defines the mental health that you have. For sure, in statistics and in surveys across national mental health studies, we have seen that mental health among men are very deteriorated. And when you compare women and men, we see that men are more dependent. users, like they use substances more than women. And another factor is that we also see that male, or the gender of men, um, they do not seek therapy, and they seek lesser than women in about two halves. So women are likely to seek therapy two times than men, which also means that men have a tendency to bottle up. And we have also seen in statistics that men, 3 of 4 men commit suicide, which also means that when they are not able to gain a professional help, eventually they start doing things that is not expected, right? What is the underlying factor of this is, we have a stereotype and nobody wants to stand wrong, nobody wants to be different, nobody wants to say that, you know what, this person is different, because differences lay a sense of vulnerability. Why people don't seek therapy, another reason is, a fact of life is, when you go to therapy, you start opening up. You start realizing that the other person sitting on the chair is a professional. How much ever you start lying or hiding, the person is going to know that something is wrong. So we don't want to be wrong, because wrong does not feel good. When we have feelings such as anger, guilt, shame, all of these are negative stuff or negative feelings to be termed. But I think they are all emotions and feelings that should happen and that are bound to happen as humans. And there is nothing negative about this, because it is a common reaction and a common sense of feeling to something, to attend to something you might have, or you might encounter something like this. So this is something that should be as normal as how you feel happiness. So when someone feels happiness, they don't try to hide it away. They just show it across. They want to let everybody on earth know that, yes, I'm happy. But when we encounter shame, we don't want anyone else to know about it. We don't even want ourselves to accept that, yes, this is happening. So, what happens is, over time, all of this starts building up. You start bottling up, you become a mountain of emotions that are not sorted, that are not treated, that are not dismissed. They don't extinguish. Like, if you keep a pain, you expect it to go away after applying gel and in over a few days. But the fact of mental health is, it doesn't go, it stays with you. It starts building up. After a point of time, it starts taking over you, and somewhere you start giving up. That's what happens eventually without a lot of treatment. And that is the unfortunate event of going through so much of mental health issues. So to come again, yeah, we see male, or the gender of men, they don't want to stand wrong, like I said, because the norm of the society does not support. So what happens is, they'll build over it. They'll never get it treated unless and until they find a push, or they have people in their lives. Most of the time, they don't recover. They don't even realize that they're going through something. So all of the implications of mental health issue does not just limit to your mind or the losing of your mind. Sometimes it even reflects on your physical body. That is the fact of life. Sometimes it reflects your social functioning as a person. Sometimes it limits your ability to work, your ability to function in every sector of life, that may include job, marriage, education, so on. So when we don't accept, when we don't push ourselves across the stigma of mental health, what eventually happens is, we will lose ourselves. Now, if not ourselves, if we are functioning healthy, maybe we lose someone who's close to us because they might not be functioning healthy and we might not know that they are not functioning healthy. Why we won't know? Like I said, nobody wants to be in that vulnerable position of insecurities. Nobody wants to be in that in that room or in that space where they let their other side that they don't portray. So we see in social gatherings or across social media, what happens is people let out the best sides of their life. They'll show that, you know what, they're having this, they're having that, they have a car, they have a job, they have branded accessories, and every other thing that they might have might be a posh life. And you might look at them and feel like, wow, what a life. Wow, I wish I could live like the other person. But the hardcore truth is, we don't know what he or she might be facing through. So this is something I read the other day on one of the post. It said like this: you might be standing next to a person in a public transport, okay, and you won't even know if that person is okay to, mentally okay. You don't know what that person might be thinking. You don't know what the other person is going through. So when you don't know what, you are going to assume from the way they present themselves is everything is okay, and you might never in your life create a social space for them to open up. That is what happens eventually. And they might never find a social circumstance or a social environment to share their feelings, thoughts, expressions, behaviors, whatever they're going through. So I hope and I really, really wish, we create a society where people can talk about their mental issues without being in the fear of being labeled for what they are, for not being associated with the fact that, this disorder defines me. So many a times, even when people go through diagnosis in a professional room, we see that they carry that label as their identity, which I find it very I find it very emotionally draining, that you are never the diagnosis or you're never your mental issue. You are a person out of the identity of your mental issues. You are a person by yourself. This has just occurred as an event over your lifetime, because like every other event that happens positively, negative emotions are bound and negative experiences are also bound to happen. That is also a part of living. We don't normalize negative things so much that like the positive. So when someone goes through negative emotions, negative experience, they don't know what to do. They don't find, because nobody has taught them in school or in college or in their families that what should we do with such kind of emotions, what should we do with all of this. We have taught people to celebrate happiness. We have taught people to celebrate every single thing in their life that is um, worth for a show off, to portray that, my life is good. But we've never taught people what to do with all of the things that we may bound to occur in our lives, which I think is the hardcore unfortunate event that we all have had to go through. I hope at least the upcoming generations and people who grow up can have an environment where they know what to do with all the negative things that they may encounter. When you see positive things, you'll appreciate it with so much of pride, right? How much can we appreciate our negative feelings? How much can we say, yes, this is my negative feeling, yes, I'm accepting this is my negatives. We don't do that. We don't tend to do that. We don't tend to do that with our emotions. We don't, because we are not trained to accept it. Every time something of shame comes, we are ready to run away from it. We are ready to say, no, that is not mine. We are ready to say, no, I'm not going through that. So we get into a state of denial when this happens. We believe, we ourselves try to believe that, you know what, this is not happening. And then all of a sudden what will happen is everything will come, because you've been bottling up, because you've been using denial to cope with your life events. So this is what eventually happens over time, over bottling up. And when you don't find and you don't become part of social connections, that you don't feel safe to share your negative sides, you don't feel comfortable to share because you fear labels, you feel emotions, you don't know what to do with them, so you just keep it with you. This is what will happen in time without professional help. That is why we have therapists, that is why we have professional mental health. It is so fortunate that I have been living in the United Arab Emirates, and I am so happy to see the level of mental health importance that they've given. In the times of Corona, they have launched a national mental health helpline which supports the residents of the country, the citizens of the country, and everyone in around, because we have to realize, just like in corona, that we are not exposed to mask, and we are not exposed to social distancing and using our sanitizers 24/7, just like that, which is the new norm. Just the same way, we are not used to seeking mental health help, or we are not used to the fact that we should seek help in times of our mental health needs. We are not used to all of this. So by the time, like, now we are a few months into corona, we are all used to this new way of life. We have somewhere come to terms with the fact that this is how it's going to be for some time, till they find medicines, vaccines, I don't know what not. But till there's a solution to stop wearing masks, we'll have to continue. Just like that, I hope we all find the space to talk about our mental health issues, mental health problems, our mental health needs. Most of the times, we don't recognize that we have a need, we have a mentally requirement to survive, we don't realize. So when we realize that, it might be difficult for us to accept. Like when Corona happened, it was very difficult for us to accept that, you know what, Corona exists. So we want to run away from the truth that Corona is going to exist. But by the time we've come to acceptance, we've started adapting to it. We will also, I believe, in a few years or in some time down the lane, we'll accept the fact that yes, we have to seek advice. Yes, we need help in sometimes. We see a physician regularly to get a history or a checkup of our physical well-being, to see just if my sugar, cholesterol, and my pressure is okay. Let us also see if our mental health is okay. Are we talking sane? Are we thinking okay? Are we thinking, are we fine? Are we really happy? Can we stay happy? Has something been triggering you? Are you going through something? How do you recognize this if you don't start talking? How do you recognize this if you don't get a regular therapeutic professional advice? So, this is what I had to convey for today's session about the stigma, the stereotypes that people generally maintain towards mental illnesses and mental health. And I hope it has been conveyed. If anyone has any questions, they can feel free to comment in the live chat. So, over the next few days, that is till Saturday, I will be covering such sessions. Tomorrow, around the same time, my session is going to be about how do we recognize if we are having or if we are going through a mental health issue. What can we do, or how do we know if something is wrong, or what is not uh, something that we should be doing, and what I've seen commonly that people do, including me. Yeah, so that is what tomorrow's session is going to be. I'll try and include in my community tab the schedule for over the week. And if anyone has any suggestions or any topics in mind that they would like me to talk about, I will be happy to do that. Just let me know. I will post a separate post on the community tab. Yeah, so that was about it. Is there any questions, concerns, comments, suggestions, feedback, anything? So, anybody living in the United Arab Emirates um, who are not aware about the personal helpline that is not that has been launched by the government, I'm going to share the details. So there is a Hayat Life program for mental health support. It is mostly for the federal government employees. Otherwise, there is a helpline for mental health counseling, and I must say it is commendable of how they have well framed the process. So basically, you will have to call the helpline. You can get yourself a guide, or I mean, most all of the people who attend to these sessions, they are all professionals in the field of psychology, so you can feel the safety to talk to them. And the hotline for this is 04, that is plus 974 519 2519. Okay, so I'll repeat it again: 04 519 and it is available from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. from Sunday to Thursday. And I've seen them how they keep a check on the person, how well they're doing. They keep calling on the person, and if ever you need and you want someone to listen to, this definitely can be a very good option if you're living in the country. And I personally want everyone to know that such a safe space has been launched by the government, which I think is a commendable gesture in the times that we are in. So that was it. And is there anything else anyone else has to say? I'm going to wait for another 3 minutes and I'll end the session. I hope you're all doing good. So I've got a lot of highs in between. Hi, Patricia. Hi, Ashwati. Hi, Ruchi. Is that it? Is there anything you would like me to know? Okay, then. So I'll see you all tomorrow at 5 p.m. That is the UAE time. I guess in India it will be about 6:30, and we will be seeing each other till Saturday, every day with a different topic. And I'm going to leave the space for you all on the community tab if there's anything you want me to know about, talk about. And I'm also going to share my email ID so that in case anything triggers at any point, like I initially said, if anything triggers or something happens, do let me know. I'll be, even if I cannot guide you or be your therapist, I will obviously take the initiative to make sure that you have a well attained and a professional at hand to help you. Yeah, so that's it. I'll see you all tomorrow and the rest of the week. So here it is. I'm going to end the session. Thank you for watching, supporting, and listening to me and giving me your time and believing that, yes, she's worthful to listen to and share our time. So, see you all tomorrow. Bye bye.